think she cried for me, but I don't know. Memories won't let me. Just can't let go. In the morning is when I think about it.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. We are starting Unit 5, which will focus on the industrial hygiene evaluation process. But before I do that, I want to talk about, or I want to provide some clarification when it comes to the safety generalist versus the industrial hygiene specialist. As I talk about evaluation, I'm going to gear our discussion more toward the safety generalist. What do we mean by safety generalist? Also could be referred to as a general practitioner, or a safety general practitioner, to use a term from the medical field. A safety general practitioner, what we will do, most of us, when we graduate from this program, when we get our safety management positions, we're going to be dealing with all aspects of safety management, all types of hazards, all types of work environments. We're not going to specialize in ergonomics or industrial hygiene. Both are excellent specialties, but that's not going to be what we are when we finish this degree program. We're going to be able to deal with a lot of different dimensions of safety management. Now, you can think of it again, let's use the medical field or the medical profession analogy again. We will be like the medical doctor who is a general practitioner, who deals with all types of medical ailments. Your family practitioner, who is usually going to be a general practitioner, they can deal with everything from the common cold to providing an initial cancer diagnosis. Now, once they get to that initial cancer diagnosis, then that's where they end. Then they're going to be referred to a cancer specialist. When you complete this program, you will have received training to work as a general practitioner at the entry level. You will be, even though you're a general practitioner, once you meet the experience requirements, you will be able to complete the CSP exam, obtain the Certified Safety Professional certification, which is the certification for general practitioners in the safety profession. And it's just about as high as you can go in the safety profession, with one exception. That exception might be certified industrial hygienist that can be earned by the industrial hygiene specialists. So that's what I want to talk about now. The industrial hygiene specialist is a specialist focusing on industrial hygiene hazards. And we could really narrow that down mostly to chemical-based hazards, or you might throw biohazards into that also. If you look at master's degree programs in industrial hygiene, they deal with biohazards and chemical-based hazards almost exclusively. Now, like we said earlier in the semester, ergonomics kind of also falls under the industrial hygiene umbrella as well, but that's a separate specialty. Ergonomics. You can specialize in ergonomics, become an ergonomist, and that's all you focus on as a specialist, which is also a pretty good way to go if you want to specialize within the safety profession. The industrial hygiene specialist, again using that medical profession analogy, is like the oncologist that specializes in cancer and cancer treatment, or the orthopedic specialist that specializes in disorders of bones and joints, and so on. And there's a lot of different specialty areas in the medical profession. Becoming an industrial hygienist specialist or an industrial hygiene specialist is not an easy proposition. If someone would be interested in pursuing this specialty, you're going to need additional STEM-based classes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a second. Now, this should be an or. Additional STEM-based curriculum or an advanced degree focusing on industrial hygiene, like the program they have at the University of Oklahoma. If you end up going for the advanced degree in industrial hygiene, that's going to be mostly a STEM-based program, a lot of science classes. I've got it up here. Let me go ahead and pull it over, the requirements to get into the OU program, the master's program in industrial hygiene at the University of Oklahoma. Let me resize this so people who need them can still see the closed captioning. First of all, to get into the OU program, the candidate must have completed college algebra or higher courses, 36 hours in basic sciences, mathematics, engineering, and technology, with at least 12 hours in chemistry to include organic chemistry, a course in biology, physiology, biochemistry, or other appropriate life science courses, and one course in physics, plus a minimum of 21 hours in communications, humanities, and social sciences. And there may be other entry requirements of the college. They leave that very open-ended when they're assessing their candidates for admission to the program. Once you're into the program, these are the classes at the graduate level you'd be taking: environmental health, occupational and environmental health sampling strategies, principles of environmental health and safety management, occupational and environmental laws and regulations, principles of safety, noise and radiation hazards. They have one class that just focuses on noise and radiation hazards. Occupational and environmental toxicology, one class focusing on toxicology. They also include a basic ergonomics class in their program. Principles of epidemiology, biostatistics methods, and a couple of other classes as well. There may be additional degree, these are additional degree requirements. Before you get your degree, you have to pass a quantitative skills comprehensive exam. You have to pass a comprehensive exam that will focus on industrial hygiene knowledge. You have to do an oral defense of your thesis, which is part of completing your master's thesis. So it's a pretty challenging program that they have there at the University of Oklahoma, but it's a program that you could complete if you were interested in pursuing the specialty in industrial hygiene. This is the only industrial hygiene specialty program that I know of in the state of Oklahoma. There's not a specialty program at the bachelor's level that I know of. And this is the only master's degree program in industrial hygiene. So again, to become an industrial hygiene specialist, advanced degree or more STEM. You could just take more STEM classes, which would set you up to take the CIH exam somewhere down the road. And that would be another step toward becoming a specialist in this area. Qualify for and obtain the Certified Industrial Hygienist certification. Let's talk a little bit more about that. The Certified Industrial Hygienist certification. It is administered by the Board for the Global EHS Credentialing. Board for Global EHS Credentialing is the organization that administers the CIH exam. Now, it used to be administered strictly by the American Board of Industrial Hygiene, but in recent years they've aligned themselves with this Global EHS Credentialing organization. To achieve the CIH certification, a degree with at least 60 hours of STEM. You have to have that, meet that requirement before they'll even let you take the exam. 15 of those hours have to be at the 3,000, 4,000 level, junior, senior level. Students from our program who might want to pursue this specialty and qualify for the CIH exam would need to take additional STEM classes or a STEM-intensive master's degree. They also, before you can take the CIH exam, you have to have at least 48 months of verifiable work experience in the field of industrial hygiene, working as an industrial hygiene specialist. You have to have 2 professional references that will verify that you meet the 48-month experience requirements. Again, these are just requirements to take the exam. And there are a couple of other requirements to take the exam also. Those other requirements are pretty easy to meet, though, for about anybody, so I don't mention those. After you meet the requirements for taking the exam, then you have a comprehensive 8-hour exam, which, again, any of you could do this if you wanted to pursue this specialty in industrial hygiene. And I have a student every now and then that takes this path, and I encourage students who may be leaning toward industrial hygiene to consider more study, more STEM classes, so they would be able to specialize in industrial hygiene down the road. This is the link for the global EHS credentialing website. Let me go ahead and pull that over here if I can find it. This is the website that will give you even more information about becoming a CIH and what is a CIH. Yeah, I would consider this the highest level of certification available to safety professionals. And again, it is a specialist certification, and that doesn't diminish the CSP in any way. It's just, if you specialize in IH, this is going to be your Mount Everest, if you will, as far as certification. So you're probably wondering why I'm talking about all of this. I've already alluded to this. Some of you may go on to specialize in industrial hygiene. I hope some of you take that path. But more relevant to this unit, as we talk about the industrial hygiene evaluation process, I'm going to be presenting it assuming that you will be working as a general practitioner. We're going to be doing industrial hygiene evaluation for the generalist, for the general practitioner. And we're not going to go into as much detail as we would go into if you were going to be working as an industrial hygiene specialist. What I'll be presenting is a more practical, maybe a little less rigorous version of the industrial hygiene evaluation process, and that can be implemented by any safety general practitioner. As a general practitioner, we have to be able to deal with all of it to some degree. What we'll be talking about in this unit will prepare you for the simpler evaluation tasks. For example, doing a silica exposure evaluation in the workplace. That's something that any of you as a generalist could be trained to do, and you would be able to execute that task without any problems. Now, if in our careers, and this will happen, in our careers we will face more complex industrial hygiene problems that would require a higher level of industrial hygiene evaluation. That's when we need to bring in a specialist. Preferably that specialist will hold the CIH certification. And a lot of times that's going to be money well spent by a company. Instead of having their general practitioner perform the evaluation, go ahead and spend the money on a specialist. Sub out that work. Sub out the industrial hygiene work to the specialists that is best qualified to do that work.